Hello, everybody, and welcome to our live update about the K1 fiance visa litigation. I know a lot of you were been waiting for this, and today we have an order that was issued by a judge, and I wanted to go over this order, what it means for our for K1 visa holders that have been stuck and waiting and being delayed. And so, we've been waiting for this order for a while now, and I'm going to explain a little bit what happened and what it means for K1 visa holders and how it's going to help process your cases from now on, and what is going to be the future with these embassies and delays. So, if you're joining right now, drop your name. Let me know where you're from. Hi, Giselle. And I see a bunch of you are joining right now. So I will update you on the order and we'll talk about what it means for K1 visas, visa holders moving forward. So, yeah, let's jump right in here. Here we go. All right. So, welcome to everybody who's joining right now. I know it's a little bit late, but I'm sure many of you are going to watch this in the morning. And thank you guys. Thanks Salvador. Thanks Sam. So a few hours ago, we got this order in the case of Milligan versus Pompeo. This was the K1 case. That was essentially discussing the issue with the delays and more specifically the fact that the U.S. embassies were not willing to issue K1 visas because of the proclamation. So it's so interesting. This judge is very poetic. So it starts the order. I'm going to read this to you. This case features a pair of star-crossed lovers on whose lives, like Romeo and Juliet, a plague has wreaked havoc. In that tragedy, news of Juliet's ruse never reached Romeo because an infectious pestilence forces a quarantine that blocks the message's delivery. Here, similarly, COVID 19 has kept apart our plaintiff. So, the judge starts like that, and essentially, and I'm going to put a link to this order in the description of this video. But what this order essentially says is something very interesting. It says that um, if an embassy, is denying, if an embassy is denying issuings of K1 visas because of the proclamation. So remember, we have a proclamation that essentially bars entry travel ban from UK, Ireland, all the Schengen countries, Iran, and China. So K1 visas that are coming specifically from those countries, we have a lot of them that were not allowed to. The embassies were sending an email. The email says that because of this proclamation, we are not able to give you an appointment, and therefore you're not going to be able to get your K1 visa. Well, what this order is saying is that this is illegal. It's illegal to deny K1 visas or not set up an appointment just because of the travel ban. So that's been a big win today, this order. And so if your case is delayed at NVC and they're saying that they're not going to be able to send this case to the U.S. Embassy because of the travel ban, you can use this order. You can email it to the consulate. We're going to be preparing a document specifically with the right language, helping our clients using this order to be able to essentially expedite the case, or at least put the consulate or embassies on notice that because, and I think probably in the next maybe a week or so, the State Department should put some sort of a notice on their website referencing this order. But just for you, those of you that are watching right now, we understand that if you get an email from an embassy or even from the MVC saying that they can't schedule your visa appointment because of the travel ban proclamation, based on this order, it is now illegal. The one thing that the one thing that the judge didn't do is discuss whether the delays, the K1 delays, are actually unreasonable. Um, and so that's the one thing that this particular order didn't discuss. And there's going to be another hearing. There's going to be actually a status conference on December 3rd, where the judge, the lawyers of the plaintiffs, and the government lawyers are going to meet, and they're going to discuss the next steps. And maybe at that point, we'll have some more clarity about the overall general perspectives of what it's going to look like. But the judge didn't say that these K1 visa delays are unreasonable, and so this is something that they'll continue to be fighting as they continue with litigation on this matter. So like I said, on December 3rd, there's going to be a status conference where they're going to decide how to proceed with this case and what's going to be the next steps. But for this moment, what was decided is that if you are filing your if you're coming from the travel ban countries, they cannot basically deny an appointment and refuse to issue a K1 visa just because you're coming from a proclamation country like the Schengen countries, and also the same thing for the MVC. So it is really important to to know that it's the judge essentially specifically said that these embassies were abusing the power by using the proclamation for the wrong reasons, specifically denying appointments for applicants just because they're coming from a travel ban country. So, yeah, I think it's definitely I've made some notes from the this order. I think it's definitely a big win already for the plaintiffs. Now remember that this was not a class action, so these 200 plaintiffs are going to be obviously first in line, but obviously we don't expect that if the consulate are going to start issuing visas, and I believe that as a result of this order, you're going to start seeing more and more appointments for K1 coming in, and if not, we're going to be able to use this and start expediting cases and trying to put pressure on the embassies to start issuing K1 visas. So, but like I said, the only thing that the judge couldn't do in this case is he said he is not able to make a decision if the delays of these K1 visas are actually unreasonable at this moment. That he wasn't just able to do it, and I guess he said, well, I don't know if it's just because of COVID or whatever the other reasons why they're delayed. So for that, they need more time. And again, the next steps will be a further hearing in December 3rd. But for our purposes here, the issue is that any embassy that sends an email and specifically states that they're not going to be issuing K1 visas because of the proclamations, that is absolutely illegal, and they should be immediately scheduling K1 visa appointments. So what I think is going to be happening is you're going to see, remember, most of these embassies are actually open. They just choose not to issue appointments right now. And I believe that as a result of this order, we're going to see more and more of these consulates starting to issue appointments, just because they want to maybe to make this this whole point moot, to prevent even further litigation. So I believe that we're going to see more and more of these K1 visas starting to be adjudicated, and interviews are going to start being scheduled. So like I said, it's we were hoping that this order is going to include also clear indication that these delays are 100% unreasonable, but I think the judge just couldn't make that decision. He couldn't make that determination because we have COVID and all these other issues. So, but as I said, as a whole, I think it's a big win for the plaintiffs, this judge is saying. I mean, like I said, he started this order, and those of you that are joining right now, I'm going to show you what it looks like. But specifically in the beginning of this order, he quoted. He essentially compared this situation to what happened with Romeo and Juliet. They were separated by a plague. And so, here we have COVID-19 that kept apart our plaintiffs. And here, and the judge recognizes that how devastating it is for families to be separated, for people not be able to see their loved ones, and therefore using the proclamation as an excuse is absolutely unreasonable and shouldn't be and shouldn't happen basically. So once again, a quick live to give you an update. Those of you that are joining here, maybe I'll take a couple of questions here. Those of you that are joining here, just wanted to we had this this order today from a federal judge, essentially stating that K1 visas should continue to be resumed if consulates are at the Schengen countries or any of the other countries that are subject to the travel bans. They are not allowed to use that as a reason to either not give an appointment or not schedule a K1 visas, and they should do so right away. And so that's a big win, because now a lot of these emails we're getting, and also we're able to push the MVC to transfer cases to the embassies now using this particular order as well, because they have no reason not to send cases to the embassies just because there's a proclamation. That is completely illegal. So that's great news. Can you guys hear me? Oh, here. Let me see here. Can you hear me now? Oh, here we go. Yeah, the audio was a little bit. Oops, here we go. So let me take a few more of your questions. Here we go. Will there be processing K1 visa in Nigeria? Is the consulate open? Yeah, they should be. The consulates are open. The consulates are open, and they should be able to process in Nigeria. Here. Let me take a few more questions of Juan Ruiz. Just waiting on my appointment to get my fiance here. What can I do? So if it's a K1 visa, you can contact the embassy and push them to process the case using this memo. Let me see here. Yeah, so if you have questions about K1s, I'll answer it right now. Here it is. Okay. All right, so okay, here we go. All right. So that's pretty much my update. So I will link this memo to the description of this video. But again, to summarize, we have big news, a great decision from the federal judge, essentially saying that proclamation is not banning K1 visas, and we are able to get appointments right now and try to get the consulates to give priority to K1 visas right now, as well as the MVC. They should not be delaying cases. And so let's see what happens. Like December 3rd, we have there's another hearing, and hopefully we'll be able to give you some more news as to where this case is going to go forward from there. And because I know a lot of our K1 clients have been waiting a lot. So so thanks. It's quite late here, but I really wanted to come on here and give you this update and give you some more hope, because I'm thinking that we're going to see more progress now with K1 visas. It's going to be quite faster, especially because of this order. And let me know. Let me know in the comments if you're a K1 visa, and you let me know in the next couple of weeks how it's going. But I'll probably give you another update in about a week or so as we get into the next hearing. And we'll take it step at a time. This was the first step, and it was a good one. So let's all hope for the best. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you at our next video.